we've done very well with Treos in the United States. Outside of the United States, we've sold the Treo 650 and 600 to date, and working with Vodafone, we saw an opportunity to really expand our market share. Our goals are really to start expansion in smartphones in Europe. Namely, if you look at the smartphone market in Europe, obviously 43% of the overall smartphone market is in Europe versus 10% in the US, so we see it as a huge opportunity, and what better partner to launch with than Vodafone, who has a global presence and obviously a huge European presence. So this product you'll see launching, obviously we announced it today, you'll see it launching and available in UK, Germany, Netherlands, Switzerland, Austria, and Spain initially, and then the rest of the operators will come on board as time comes by on the Vodafone network. This one is not active in terms of, it doesn't have a SIM card in it, but it's fully functional. You can take a look at it. You can see, I mean, as you start to look at it, the one apparent thing that's very obvious is it no longer has an antenna on it, which is, of course, is extremely important to customers in Europe, and a key thing that we looked at. The other thing you'll notice is the soft feel paint. So it's got a real nice feel in the hand. Also, what we've done is really improve the feel of the device. It's a little bit slimmer, and it's got a nice more rounded edges on it, so it feels much better in the hand, much better when you're holding it up to your ear, because as we all know, number one, this has got to be a good phone first. One of the huge things that we've done here, this is our first UMTS product as well. So this is taking advantage, obviously, of Vodafone's 3G network to where you can really leverage a smartphone based on the speeds that you're going to have on a UMTS network.
So the first technical question is, what's the program memory? Are we using the WX 64 megs? Or
it's very similar to the WX in terms of footprint. Right. Exactly.
Can you comment on who's making this device? Is it HTC or Inventec?
I'm prepared.
Can I comment on who's making it from an ODM perspective? Yeah, it is HTC.
HTC is still making it, great. And can you comment a little bit also about sort of how this relationship has evolved over the last couple of years, moving into HTC? HTC providing much better build quality, but now they're really creating these great new other devices that are competing with your devices. How does that affect your
Well, I think if we look at this product, obviously HTC has products also that they're building, but our secret sauce is obviously both the hardware and the software that we do on top of it, which HTC does not do. If you look at our partner here being Vodafone, clearly they were very excited to work with a brand name such as Palm, and so that's really critical to us. And at the same time, if you look at the ODM, HTC, they build a great quality product. Yes, they do build products that are competitive with us, but the form factors are not the same. It's really not a Treo form factor. It's obviously more of a sort of a sliding keyboard style, what have you.
You added improvements to the software in Windows Mobile. One of the key ones started SMS.
Absolutely. As we all know in Europe, SMS is king, and we've brought over the threaded SMS chat that we have from the 650, and this product has that threaded, so that as you go through and you're doing a text messaging session with somebody, you're able to keep up to date on what the discussion is with that person.
Will we see that SMS as an update to the other Windows Mobile devices from Palm?
Oh, that I can't comment on.
Are there any, in 5.2, are there any other major changes, such as better 5-way nav or just more consistent UI that you've made?
Most of the stuff in terms of the user experience is really things that have been brought over from the WX. For example, the speakerphone and mute icons, for example, that are in the WX that are in there. Obviously, the dialing from the Today view, dialing by name. Obviously, also the Today view for launching and searching for search. All of those things are in there. Those are the main things. So we've really brought a lot of that over. Obviously, the stuff around being able to have a photo associated with the person that you're calling for speed dial, for example. Those are, pretty much we've brought all of that stuff over, and then the big thing is really the threaded SMS is the thing that we've brought over that's new.
Let's talk a little bit about release schedules. One of the notably absent Vodafone regions is Hong Kong. Why did Vodafone choose maybe just the EU regions?
While we work with Vodafone, obviously, as a global company, each of the opcos have specific decisions that they make on when they're going to launch their products. So I can't comment specifically on when they're going to launch in specific countries, but I can tell you that Vodafone in general is very committed to this product, and you will expect to see it on many of their networks worldwide, not just in Europe.
Part of this launch on other networks are already using HSDPA. Is the UMTS Treo 750V backwards compatible with that newer network that Singular is using in the US, or will this not work on that new data network?
It is. it is compatible in terms of it is upgradable to HSDPA.
It is very software upgradable.
Yes.
Very good. I noticed you switched to a Samsung processor from the Intel one you're using. Was the recent buyout selling Intel did? Excuse me. The recent buyout of Intel's mobile chip baseband processor line have any decision?
Had nothing to do with it, frankly. And that, obviously chipset decisions were made way before that announcement, and it has nothing to do with it.
Is there anything special about the Samsung chip? I know that the Intel one integrated the program memory right on the processor, as well as, I believe, the baseband cellular phone. So it's just one chip that you sort of plugged in.
Right.
Does Samsung do a similar?
It's not stacked memory like that. However, one of the key things with the Samsung processor that's really important when you're talking about UMTS is it's got a very low power when it's in standby mode or in sleep mode, which is incredibly important when you're talking about a radio that's so power hungry like UMTS.
Very good. I noticed you added Bluetooth stereo. That's a very great addition, but why not Bluetooth 2.0? What's holding us back there?
You can ask Microsoft that, frankly. But again, it's probably more important at this point with Bluetooth to be more compatible with more car kits and more headsets than to move to the next generation 2.0. Microsoft is obviously diligently working on having that in their OS, but at the moment it's not supported by the OS.
Okay, and then I guess another sort of general question is, you've struggled over the last years entering the EU market. And one of the struggles has been the antenna, one of the struggles has been a large size, high data plan rates. What's really changed in this that's going to make it so much more successful? And what really design considerations do you take in effect to make this an EU phone and not an American phone?
Yeah, this product was designed with the EU in mind first and foremost. It was not designed for any other market as its primary market than Europe, because obviously we've got products that have been very successful in the US, but we know that the European customer is much more discriminated in terms of design, in terms of size, and in terms of things like having an aerial on it. So those were all things that we focused on. And then if you just look at the design in general from the soft feel paint, it gives you that sort of luxe look that's very important to that customer. So all the design was intended for the European customer first. I think the big thing that's going to be different is our partner being Vodafone. Their worldwide reach, their European reach is so huge. 170 million subscribers worldwide is a huge opportunity for us, and they're going to market this product as really a hero product on their market.
One of the funny things about Vodafone is that they still charge per megabit or per kilobit for data, and one of these devices with UMTS, EVDO, all these, they need to be able to really take advantage of the high network. You really can't be charged per bit per day because it gets insanely costly. I think it's something like they have a 10 megabit plan, and after that it's several pounds for every megabit. How is that consideration taken effect, and what's that gonna? How is the pricing of Vodafone really going to change how users can use this Treo?
First off, I mean the price of the device itself will vary from a couple £100 to zero, depending on what plan you sign up for. This product is obviously very much targeted at a business, mobile, professional, prosumer, where that is something that's an expectation, is that they will have a data plan that they'll have to pay for, and that there will be, obviously with Vodafone, that is the plan structure that they have. We've looked very closely at Wi-Fi. If you look at the way Wi-Fi is implemented on the Microsoft operating system, it's quite a challenge, because the way it's designed, it's constantly scanning. So when Wi-Fi is on, in fact, the battery life is really hurt by Wi-Fi on a Windows Mobile product.
Yeah.
And so one of the things, obviously, you have to make trade-offs when you're designing a product to get that right balance. And so obviously, as you see, this is a thinner product, and one of the things here is that we have to be able to build a thinner product. You have a smaller battery in there.
How much thinner is it?
1 millimeter.
Just 1 millimeter.
Yeah, and the radio is a huge portion that actually should make it thicker than this product.
And that's why you had to move the SD card slot. Was the whole top half of the device now is being taken up by the radio and the internal antenna.
What's the material in the casing?
Called soft touch paint.
So it's the same thing as the limited edition. The
Correct.
Edition,
That's correct.
With a different color.
Correct. Yes.
Black. Yeah. Are you committed to the touchscreen in the future? Do you foresee going into the smartphone platform? Most of your competitors are really taking advantage of the size advantages from not having a touchscreen, and they're releasing all these great small, slim devices. That's really taking the market by storm. A lot of people are like, "Wow, that looks sexy and sleek." How do you compete with that?
It's interesting. If you look at Smartphone Edition and you look at adding a QWERTY to it, because of the limitations on the display sizes, which is 176 by 220 or 320 by 240, It makes for a longer display and a longer device. So if you add a QWERTY to it, it's either a diving board or you have to put it on its side, and then you can make it thin, but obviously it's a wide device like the Q.
So right now the resolution requirement of the Windows Mobile 5 smartphone is actually a major design barrier.
It is a design barrier. The other obvious difference is there's a lot of advantages to a touchscreen in terms of it's one of those things where it's not necessarily that you're using the stylus all the time, but being able to tap on the screen to navigate, especially when you're talking about browsing versus having to drill in and out of menus, is very tedious. I frankly I use all competitive products. I use the Singular 2125, and I wanted to throw it out the window after a while. Everything is about 4 steps away, and if I was able to tap on the screen to get to those, it would have been a lot easier. And frankly, that's one of the frustrating parts with that user experience on those products. We're obviously evaluating everything. We're always looking at new opportunities, so it's not to say we would never do it, but right now, based on the user experience we can provide, we feel we can provide a much better experience on Pocket PC based on the customers that we're going after with this product.
What's the status of an unlocked version of this 750V? There's a lot of pent-up demand in the US of the the prosumer category really wanting that next device.
We clearly understand there's a huge opportunity for unlocked devices, for devices on other operators. Obviously, there is a limited period of exclusivity for Vodafone in Europe, and once that goes away, you will see products coming out on other networks as well as unlocked versions through distribution and what have you. I can't obviously tell you when that's going to be.
But you can't provide an unlocked US version because it could be exported into the EU and breaking that exclusivity agreement.
Again, we've launched with Vodafone first, but you've got to imagine we're launching with other operators, and while we said this is the product designed for Europe, it obviously would do very well in countries such as the US and Canada as well, and so you can expect to see it on other networks other than Vodafone as well. So that's likely what you would see.
Europe uses Symbian. Symbian is huge in Europe, and Europeans aren't very familiar with Windows Mobile. There's been a few successful launches. Orange UK really pushed it hard a couple years ago
with the SPV.
Launching the smartphone. How are you planning to address that issue?
Well, I think part of it is obviously the operator. Vodafone's very committed to Windows Mobile as a operating system. And in general, while Symbian certainly has a stronghold in Europe, there is a fair bit of customers that have bought Windows Mobile over the years. Obviously, Palm OS doesn't have that same entrenched customer base that Symbian does, and certainly not that Windows Mobile does. And that's part of why we've launched the product with Windows Mobile in Europe. But I feel that there is quite a few customers who are familiar with it, and between the trifecta of Vodafone, Palm, and Microsoft all together pushing it, Microsoft is putting a lot of muscle behind this. So it's not just Palm, it's not just Vodafone. We're talking about millions of dollars of ad campaigns between Microsoft, Vodafone, and Palm to push both the product and the operating system, and obviously the network.
Very well. Well, Steph, great. Thank you for taking the time to interview us. It's great to hear about this new product, and it looks to be great, and I look forward to seeing it around the world.
I'm sure you do, yeah.